happens to be, we're going to be on Rosh Chodesh Kislev this week. It's going to mark the Hilula of a really great rabbi. His name was Harav Yaakov Baruch, HaKohen, Traub. Zecher Tzadik Libracha. He actually passed away quite recently, about 32 years ago, in the year 1993. It was on the first of Kislev is his Hilula, that's Rosh Chodesh Kislev, respectively. And he came from great rabbinic auspices. His father's name was Rabbi Ezra Eliyahu HaKohen Traub, Sultan. Also, you can give the title. We spoke about him before. From Damascus, also respectively, and was a very, very great rabbi of his time. Now, it's actually interesting. We're going to speak about his father in due course. I believe his father was nicknamed the Chacham Azor. Very interesting enough. That was a nickname he had, and I think he was actually a head of Jewish court in Damascus also respectively, and I think the family will actually respectively come up there to the Eretz, to land in the year 1949. Okay, so much can be said with regards to Eretz Israel in of itself respectively. Now I think באותם ימים נכדו התינוק רפאל, בנה של ביתו הג'יני משען, נעלם בבית החולים Donolo Biyafo. So that was a very, very sad story that actually happened at that point in time. So that was, unfortunately, I think that happened to many people at the time when they came to the state of Israel. Many stories about that. I'd let everyone research about that upon yourselves at your own time period event. But quite often, Tel Aviv, they would actually, once they would actually arrive in the land of Israel, they would settle in Tel Aviv. Over there, remember at that point in time that many of the new immigrants that came to Israel from a lot of the countries from all over the world would actually settle there. So he would actually be working as a rabbi inside the older part of the neighborhood, I believe, in Tel Aviv, respectively, at that point in time. So Rabbi Tel Aviv had a flourishing and big amounts of people coming inside from all different communities. So it was very, very diverse at that point in time. But what actually happened at the time when they came to the land of Israel, that was a story unto itself, as we said before. Now, it's actually interesting. He would get married. I think his wife's name was Marat Simcha. She was the daughter of Rabbi Amram Azulay, another great rabbi, I believe we spoke about here on this series on various occasions before over there. So today, anyone tuning in, we are speaking about Rabbi Yaakov Baruch HaKohen Traub, a very famous rabbi of his time. Now, I think in around the time period of 1962, sadly, his father passed away, and he would be appointed afterwards as a rabbi of this specific neighborhood, which I think his father actually had. He would keep this position for a staggering 30 years until he passed away. And he would do great actions while he was the rabbi of the neighborhood. I believe he would open up a yeshiva called Yeshivat Rabbeinu Yosef Chaim over there, and I think it actually stands to today. The place was great. I believe it's still functioning, and it'll be great actually to visit that specific yeshiva respectively at points of time. And he would do a lot for his kahila itself respectively, and had many great talmidim, many great students over there. היה הולך מביתו לישיבה למרות שהמרחק הוא מרחק נסיעה כדי לרכוש את אנשי שכונתו בדרכו. He would actually try and meet the various people in his neighborhood at that point in time, dialogue, educate at that point in time, and really build community, build a great Torah community, and do huge amounts of work, especially, and made a huge imprint respectively in Tel Aviv at that point. It's Shimesh Kamohel. He was also a mohel, a rabbi that would perform circumcision, Brit Milah, and many people will come to him over there. I'll state what it says over here using the Haimi website. It's Shimesh Kamohel, לא רק שלא ביקש השכר, אלא היה מביא כיבוד בעצמו לכבוד המשפחות. He'd actually not just be a mohel, he would actually bring a lot of honor to the families and so on and so forth, and was very he was really huge integral part of that neighborhood in Tel Aviv. And I believe he did have some sufferings before he passed away, I think health conditions, and he passed away in 1993. Obviously, now there's two different opinions over here. According to one opinion, just using the Haimi website as a source, it says the first of Kislev is his Hilula, but according to another opinion, it says it was on the first of Tevet in the year 1993, so we're talking about 32 years ago. לאחר מותו עוגדו דרושותיו וחידושיו מתוך כתב יד והוציא לאור בספר יעטה מורה. So his books, his teachings would actually come out in this book called the Sefer Ya'ateh Mora. Now we're going to speak about some of his teachings in due course. We did speak about they came from great rabbinic auspices. His father's name was Rabbi Ezra Eliyahu Traub, who was also another very great rabbi of his time. So I think we'll speak about him now. I believe he was Rabbi, to give his full title, Rabbi Ezra HaKohen Sultan Traub was also a great rabbi. If I'm not mistaken, it says that according to different opinions, that his father's name was Rabbi Yaakov Baruch Traub, I believe. So I think Rabbi Ezra HaKohen Traub might have actually been his grandfather, if I'm not mistaken. But please, anyone, you've got more clarity on that, let me know. So Rabbi Ezra HaKohen Traub, I think, passed away in the year 1920. I think he was actually, just correct myself, I think he was a grandfather of the great rabbi we're speaking about today, of Rabbi Yaakov Baruch HaKohen Traub. So Rabbi Ezra, I think, was passed away in 1920. I think in the month of February. He was a Rosh Yeshiva. He was a head of Jewish court in Damascus. He also was a Mohel. And I believe he was also a Darshan and a Torah book author. So he did huge amounts. Rabbi Ezra HaKohen, the Sultan Traub did. Let's just speak a few words with regards to him. His father's name was Rabbi Eliyahu HaKohen Traub. So I think Rabbi Eliyahu would be the, if I'm not mistaken, if anyone knows otherwise, would be the great grandfather of Rabbi Yaakov, who we're speaking about today. So let's speak about Rabbi Ezra for a few minutes. And I think he was the Mishpachat Traub, the family Traub itself, was a famous Damascus family, a rabbinic dynasty in of itself. And much can you. Well, we're going to speak also a bit about Rabbi Eliyahu Traub, who was also one of the great rabbis from Rabbi Yaakov HaZaken, respectively. And I think Rabbi Ezra Cohen would actually. There's also. They were close to a rabbi called Rabbi Shlomo Harari, and very much, I think they were great rabbis at that point in time. I think the family connection, the great grandparents, the Damascus blood libel, which we've spoken about on various occasions before, especially a video recorded about Rabbi Entebbe, we spoke about that whole specific episode in of itself. Now, et Sifrovi al Eliyahu, Chudushay Divrei Aposkim Droshim. I think in Cairo, Hidfis Nechado, Rabbi Yehuda will actually bring about Benosh Rabbi Ezra. Rabbi Ezra was his son, and they would bring about and publish many of these books and these writings in of itself. And now very, very interesting. So let's speak a bit more about Rabbi Ezra, who I think was grandfather of the rabbi we're speaking about today. He, I believe, Rabbi Ezra would learn Torah from his father, who was one of the great rabbis also of Damascus of his time, and also from another great rabbi, Rabbi Chaim Romano, who was, I think, a Dayan or the Bedin, Rabbi Yitzchak Abu Lafia, inside that city. Remember, the Abu Lafia family was another great rabbinic dynasty of its time. And while he was young, he was considered like a really diligent and expert Torah learner in Halacha, Jewish law, in Kabbalah, and various different drashot in himself, respectively. He would give especially famous drashot, especially on Shabbats and on the Jewish festivals, in front of a great synagogue. I think the Shema in Damascus synagogue in of itself. Rabbi Ezra was also Rosh Yeshiva. He was a head of Jewish court in Damascus, and had brilliant voice. He was a Chazan, also Shliach Tzibur. And there was a famous synagogue, I think, over there called the El Farang, if I'm not mistaken, and was a Baal Tefillah there, and one of the great rabbis of his one in time. I think he was quite close to another rabbi over there called Rabbi Aaron Yaakov Ben Yamin, who I think was the chief rabbi of Damascus at that one in time. And I think he was also a mohel, if I'm not mistaken, once again, a rabbi that would perform circumcision. I mean, he passed away, I believe, in the year 1920. Rabbi Ezra did, who was also a very great rabbi of his time. He worked all his life in Damascus. I think his Hilula is on the 28th of Shvat. I think we did record a video about him about a year ago. He also left great Torah, colossal works, also we have to point out. Among his teachings, let's just explore some of the books, the Shari Ezra, which was a Shut, Shelot, Shivot, question answers. This was printed in Jerusalem. Sefer Ezra, this was on, let's say, Drushim, Beramazim, on various different drashots he gave, once again printed in Jerusalem. Yomer Ezra was a book on the Tanakh, the Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim, once again printed in Jerusalem. The Milei de Ezra. This was a short, once again, question and answers, various different halachic matters, respectively, which actually come out through his son, Rabbi Yehuda, after he passed away. We have to point that. And I think 2 other books of his actually remain in manuscript form as of recent times. The Li Le'ezra and the Uktach Hezra, respectively. Very, very interesting enough. Now, let's explore a bit within regards to his family, because I believe he's a grandfather of the rabbi we are speaking about before. So, Rabbi Ezra's brother was Rabbi Baruch Yaakov, another great rabbi. He was an head of Jewish court and a ram in the Midrash called Jara Raphael, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And he was close with Rav Chaim and Rav Meir. They were really great rabbis of the Beit Knesset Oloraiki, I believe, and really, really expert rabbis itself. Now, I think Rabbi Ezra would actually get married. His wife's name was, if I'm not mistaken, Leah, and they would have 2 sons and 3 daughters, if I'm not mistaken. His oldest son was Rabbi Yehuda Chaim HaKohen Sultan Traub, who was a great Talmid Chacham and also a head of Jewish court in Cairo in Egypt. And he was also Mohel, he was also a rabbi that would perform Brit Milah. And his son Rabbi Meir would become a famous shochet, a kosher slaughterer, and the Mohel also. I think he sadly passed away while he was young, if I'm not mistaken, and would have a son after him, also of the name Ezra, if I'm not mistaken, and a daughter, Lina, if I'm not mistaken. And I think, yeah, very, very interesting enough. So many of the families become head shochets, and I think his grandson was Rabbi Ezra Cohen Sultan Traub, another one, Chacham Azor, who we mentioned before, and his daughter Sinear, also very much connected to Rabbi Nissim Bachor Madhiv, if I'm not mistaken, and his daughter Rachel will get married to Rabbi Mordechai Raphael Halevi, another great rabbi in himself. Now, everyone that's tuning in, we're exploring a bit, because it's a Hilula, it's going to be, of a great rabbi who we're speaking about today, Rabbi Yaakov Baruch, HaKohen Traub. So we're exploring a bit about his family, also some of his ancestors, because the Cohen Traub family was a famous rabbinic family, full of rabbis of their specific time. So it's always prestigious to speak about them. Now, we're going to explore some of the highlights of the book in the coming minutes. But we're going to speak about another one of his ancestors, who was who just mentioned about Rabbi Eliyahu Yaakov HaKohen Sultan Traub. Also, who was he? We're going to explore a bit within regards to him. I think he actually passed away in the year 1859, way before, and that was actually on the last day of Pesach, on the 21st of Nisan, respectively. Let's speak a bit about him. He was also born in Damascus, respectively. His father was Rabbi Yaakov HaZaken, the famous rabbi over there, and very, very interesting. So I believe he was born Rabbi Eliyahu Yaakov all the way back in 1789, so we're going back nearly 250 years over there. And he was also grown up with regards to great Torah, Kabbalah, really much part of the rabbinic dynasty in Damascus, and will be working for many years. It will be a great Talmid, his place inside these various different cities of places, and will garner up many great Talmidim, huge amounts. He would get married to Rabbanit Esther. Interesting enough, they would have a son, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Baruch Yaakov Sultan, who would actually go on to become the head of Jewish court over there, also become a Rosh Yeshiva, and in Damascus, respectively. And Rabbi Ezra Cohen Traub Sultan, who we just spoke about before, will become one of the head rabbis of the family and the head bet in Damascus, also respectively. Rabbi Eliyahu Cohen Sultan actually passed away back in the year 1859. He actually left. He was close to many other great rabbis of that specific era, let's just say, in of itself, and many of the descendants, as mentioned about before, become head of Jewish courts, respectively, and would go on to do huge things. Let's speak about Rabbi Ezra HaKohen Sultan Traub, because actually we spoke about him before. He passed away, I believe, in the year 1920. Rabbi Ezra did, so that's very interesting enough. So let's explore a few of the highlights from his work now, because he left us with great Torah colossal works, great teachings. One of the teachings he actually teaches, I believe, is Melamed Afal Pi Shemit Batel Metorah Mechuyav Lishtadel Lema'an Hazulot. This is one of his teachings he gives inside one of his publications over there. I think this actually comes from the Yatemora I think part number Aleph, I think in page number 90. I think this was actually printed in the year 2005, respectively, one of his teachings where it's talking about various different Musar teachings, ethical teachings at that stage in time. Now, another teaching he gives over is Melamed. Sheha Tapuach Ikar Vadvash Tebel Shemasav Yu Merubim. It's obviously maybe alluding to Rosh Hashanah, the festival of Rosh Hashanah, where we dip the apple inside the honey. I think this teaching actually comes, if I'm not mistaken, from his publication of the Yatemore number Dalet, once again, as I mentioned before. I think page number 59, once again printed in the year 2005 in Jerusalem. So he's giving various different teachings inside, ethical teachings inside this very Torah colossal work. Another teaching of his, Melamed, Shukore Kol Echad, Lo'or Nero, Velo Lo'or Echad. Zeu Ta'am HaGalut. I think this actually comes from page maybe 195, if I'm not mistaken, from his book also. Another teaching, Melamed, Chesron, Hasone Rak Hilchot Vesukot, Ve'eno Ose Pri Leholid. This actually comes once again from one of his teachings of one of his books. Now, anyone that's tuning in live, we're exploring the history of a great rabbi. Another one of his teachings, Melamed, Letzet Min Ha'anan, Lachnet Ela Shepalat Utam Ha'anan. This is just another one from the second Chelek. Spoke also respectively, very, very interesting. So he was, as I mentioned before, a great rabbi of his time. We spoke about Rabbi Yaakov, HaKohen, Sultan Traub, who passed away in 1859. Also, I think he was a great grandfather, if I'm not mistaken. We spoke about Rabbi Ezra, HaKohen, Sultan Traub, also who passed away, as I mentioned before, in the year 1920. I think he was a great grandfather also. And yeah, it was a great rabbinic family, and recommend everyone to learn more within regards to them. There's many rabbis inside the family, and maybe we're going to record a historic video, Bezrat Hashem, here on the history of the great family, the Traub family from Damascus, respectively. So please, everyone, thanks for watching. Aleph Kislev or Aleph Tevet, there's two different opinions here, using the Homi website when his Hilul actually was. So if anyone has more clarity, please let me know. But he passed away, I believe, in the year 1993, so that was quite recent in of itself when he passed away. That's something that we have to point out. So yeah, we talked about how they actually moved to Israel, to Tel Aviv, and Rabbi Yaakov will come like a very integral part in Tel Aviv, respectively, inside that place. So wishing you all well, and take care. And just recording this here on a journey to Jerusalem. So everyone that's tuned in, please subscribe also to the channel. We're nearing at the moment 8,000 subscribers, and blessings from Israel. Take care, and thanks for watching.